Welcome to another episode of Clarity Digital Pod. I'm your host, Al Sefati, and today I'm joined by John Lawson, entrepreneur, e-commerce expert, and business coach. We discuss the evolution of e-commerce, the role of AI in business, and what the future holds for entrepreneurs. Let's dive in. Hey, John, how you doing today?
Awesome, man. It's cold, but other than that, I'm good.
How cold?
I think it's 39 degrees today is the high,
Oh,
which other people think that's like summertime, but for us here in Georgia, that is definite hard winter.
yeah, that is cold. The moment I live in California, the moment it goes below like 45, that's officially cold.
Yeah, yeah,
That's how I live it.
exactly. That's where we're at right now, man. We're officially cold.
Very cool. I really love your background, by the way. The paintings, Obamas. What's the other one?
That right here
Yeah,
is a scene from the movie Airplane,
airplane.
and
Okay.
that's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Oh, that's what I thought he was. Yeah.
Yes, and that's his signature right there.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. You and I met back in 2021 at Advanced Search. You were speaking. I think it was about small business. And I've been wanting to interview you for so long. So thanks for your time. If you don't mind introducing yourself for our audience, give a little bit of background about your personal, professional background, that would be wonderful.
I suck at introducing myself all the time. So I'll just tell you a little bit, though, is I was about to go bankrupt and I didn't know what to do. I had a good job, but I had purchased a second house that was supposed to flip and it didn't flip. And I was stuck with a second mortgage and it was killing me. And I was getting ready to file bankruptcy. And a friend of mine said, we should sell some stuff on eBay. And I was like, okay. And I started selling used books on eBay. And that literally went well enough for I could pay the second mortgage. And then 2 years later, I realized if I left my corporate gig in consulting and went full time in my own small business, I probably could make it work. And fast forward 20 years later, here I am. I went from building a side hustle into a multi-million-dollar e-commerce business. And that's where I landed. And I do a lot of business coaching and speaking and stuff like that now, traveled all around the world doing that, mostly around my first book, which was called right here, Kick-Ass Social Commerce, which today sounds like, oh yeah, social commerce, we get it. But when I wrote the book 10 years ago, there was no social commerce. There was just the thought of maybe people would buy stuff based on social recommendations. And I was very gung-ho about how social media could really change the way people adopt to product purchasing. And yeah, that's been my shtick. So here I am.
That's awesome. I also got into marketing through e-commerce. I went the SEO route, and I think my mess was that I didn't recognize the power of social media. I was so much focused on lower funnel people that are ready to buy right now. And although the business was relatively successful,
Yeah.
it could have been a lot more successful if I if I took advantage of the social media. So why don't we talk about that? Let's share your book in a few sentences, the entire book. How do we utilize social media to sell stuff? Because I don't log into Facebook or Instagram with the intention of buying. I want to see what you're up to because you and I are Facebook friends. I want to see what everybody else is up to. We want to share memes and funny stuff. How do you sell stuff on social media?
Here's the thing. Like I said, that book was 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
But even when I wrote it, if you picked it up today and removed some of the references to maybe some of the older channels that we don't really use as much. I remember at the time, Instagram was just coming online, basically. And before we went out to put the book out, I was like, let me add a little blurb here about Instagram because I feel like it might take off. With that in mind, the deal is that the basic principle of what social media is nothing but amplified word of mouth. And word of mouth is the greatest reference when it comes to recommendation for any product, right? And so when we had the introduction and now today, the adoption, right? So for you and I'm probably a little older than you. I got the gray going on. I
Me
got,
too. I just shaved mine.
did you save it? Yeah. I just was like, man, forget it. It's so hard. But for us, we had to we have to adapt to the new technology versus it being the water that you swim in. So this next generation, and even if we go a generation back to the millennials, they were raised with social media. So it's not second nature. It's not like this is where I go if I have time to check on my friends. It's this is where my friends are. And the fact of the matter is that we're seeing a balance shift. Like you saw the shift with SEO and social,
Yeah.
we're seeing that same kind of shift now from social to artificial intelligence. And so you got another chance to get at the front before
Yeah.
everybody else. However, what AI is even allow us to do is to get into the social and amplify what we're doing in social even bigger and put our messages in multiple places, multiple times, different ways, video, audio, podcast, all of these different things. We're able to now take one piece of content and put it into multiple formats. And that's what social allows us to do. It allows us to get to people that only like audio. There's social for audio. If you like video, there's social for video. If you still like reading text, then I feel like LinkedIn is still a text-based platform. There is a lot of opportunity in social simply because you have a audience that you can tap into, you can build and bring them in and have a centralized place for them to get information directly from you. So it's one to many at scale now.
Yeah. Excellent point. We're still at the early stage of AI adoption.
Yeah.
It's something that I'm personally very excited about because my undergrad degree was computer science, so I was more of a geek.
Yes.
I got dragged into marketing, and now I feel like the geek is coming back, but not all the way. And I'm really geeking out with this AI stuff. I have all these free and paid tools, including the podcast tool, which I'm going to be editing this interview with. And I'm intending to turn this interview into like smaller bits and pieces and
It's
distribute them into Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and obviously YouTube and maybe TikTok, and it just go all over the place and get the right audience. And I think you're 100% correct when you say all these channels, get all this across all the channels. I remember this was this was a very difficult and labor intensive task to do about maybe not even 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years
yeah.
ago, and
Yeah.
3 years ago. Now it's thanks to AI, it's becoming a lot easier. And let's just stay on AI. With content creation and diversification, what are some of the pros and cons of using AI for businesses?
So it's interesting. This is the thing that I'm really trying to focus in on in 2025. Here's where we're at, or here's where we're going. What is the world going to be when we have unlimited amount of content, right? Yes, the more we learn the tools, the more content we get to produce. But at some point, the learning of the tool is not even going to be a issue. The tool will just be built into all the things, right? So AI right now feels like it's a extension or a new tool, but ultimately it's a platform. And everything's going to be built with AI underneath. So what does that do when, let's say, right now you're going to take this podcast, you're going to throw it into one tool, it's going to chop it up and make the little mini things. You might throw it into another tool and it might make some comment cards that it could do, and then you might throw it in another tool, it'll write a blog post. What happens when it's one tool that does all of that to one show? There's just going to be, and we're like maybe what, 6 months away from that. maybe a
Yeah.
year at most. What is it going to be like when we have unlimited content? Guess what becomes the most important thing? So the most important thing suddenly becomes the personal touch, because we're going to be able to, humans are a unique thing. And I believe that the same way AI seems to have really been able to capture what kind of content humans will respond to, I honestly believe that just the nature of how long we've been here and how much humans have changed, we're going to change so much in this AI age that even AI will confuse AI. Come on. Are you married?
I am, yes.
You have children?
I have one daughter and one stepdaughter, yes.
Okay. All right. Do you understand them?
I do.
No, you don't. How
Understand
old
what?
are they?
Sorry.
How old are
Sorry,
they?
sorry, say that again.
How old are they? Wait,
uh
how old are they?
one is 23, but she has autism, and then my daughter is 7, turning 7 in a couple months.
7. Okay. It's you understand. Let's go with the 7-year-old because that's what
Yeah,
I remember. So,
yeah,
oh, I get it. I know what they like. And then they become teenagers. And
yeah.
everything we thought we knew suddenly just what the
Oh
what
yeah.
did she what well, you're
Gotcha.
wearing what, right?
Yeah,
That's the nature of human.
yeah,
So I think we're going to get that also with AI. Like all of a sudden, the AI algorithm is going to like skip, not break, but it's just going to skip. Whoa, I thought we knew humans. So what's going to be important is that high touch interaction. We'll have all of this produced content, but there's nothing like what we're doing right now. And then even though we're doing this right now, you're before the show, you're like, hey, I might be in Atlanta. We should get together.
yeah,
There's no replacement for that. And there isn't, right? So
yeah,
that's going to be very important. I think there's going to be a middle level of engagement with communication that we're going to be able to enhance, that will keep it on that personal touch. And then we'll have automated stuff, but it's going to be very authentic because it's not the same as the routine things that we're seeing out there. So I think those three things are very important: high touch, the middle level engagement, and the automated but authentic is the next phase. I don't even know if I answered your question, but that's where we're going right now.
you did answer it. And if I have to do a quick recap, so basically use AI but be authentic and original, and I agree
Yeah.
with you 100%. This is something, as an SEO person, as an SEO expert, I preach all the time. It's like, don't rewrite other people's articles, or just create something original, be it data or maybe an interview like this, so people can find something authentic, something they find unique, and also the human aspect of it. You and I are having fun. This is not an interview or like a formal podcast. It's a Zoom call. We are having fun and we're sharing insights and experiences. So you did answer that question 100%. I
Cool.
really appreciate it. And another thing that you said something about AI tools that I find really interesting, and I was actually thinking about, it's becoming very overwhelming for me as a business owner and who's in the world of marketing, to keep up with all these tools and learning all these things. And I take some courses on Coursera, and just to keep up with the science of it. And I think the direction we're going is toward the promptless AI, where you don't have to prompt, like you said, you don't have to prompt anything anymore. And AI is just going to study you, and you're going to have the major tools like Microsoft and Google either creating their own AI tools or buy all these little ones and integrate them.
Yep.
And I think what's going to happen is that now what you thought you knew about AI, how to write a good prompt or how to do this or how to do, that's just going to be not important, which goes
Yep.
back to the human angles that you just mentioned. Focus on being authentic, focus on human connection. That's what I take away from this. So that was really
Yeah.
good.
Dude, the technology is here to amplify you, not
Yeah.
replace you. It's the desire of, you remember, so we were talking about what's your favorite movies. One of my favorite movies, might be close to my favorite movie, would have to be The Matrix, right?
Yes, mine too. Yeah.
But you remember when he was fighting and then he duplicated himself all the way down?
Hmm.
That's where we at. This is
Yeah.
where we're going, man. And it's just the agents are going to really allow us to do multiple things at the same time. And it's going to allow us to amplify if we put our own character and personality in it. It's going to amplify us personally and
Yeah,
not replace me, but amplify. And it's just, I'm excited about that part.
yeah,
Big.
yeah, me too, me too. And there's going to be some changes in the business world. There's going to have to be layoffs. We already see that happening with
Yeah.
copywriters and junior level graphic designers. You can and things, and even junior level coders and an IT part, because now you can use AI to generate decent quality code and content and copy. And maybe the image thing is still not that great, but it will get there, creating
Yeah.
pictures and stuff like that. But now we'll create other opportunities, right? That for people to be able to, like you said, amplify themselves. I think AI is going to give a fair chance to everybody to be a business owner. What are your thoughts on that? Rather than an
Let me,
employee, it's a far-fetched.
it's
Uh,
no, it will give them, it will give many people an opportunity to put in effect ideas.
mhm. Yeah,
Let's put it like that. Because business, that's the one thing about business. There's a principle, almost a law that is a throughput for business for eons. I don't think the very principles of business have ever changed. I think the principles of business going forward will still pretty much be the same thing in terms of you got to find a need in the market, fulfill that need, and once you do, you'll be successful. So that basis will always be there, right? That, a lot of people have great ideas, but I don't think great ideas make great businesses. We'll
yeah,
see. You know what I'm saying? We'll
yeah,
see.
yeah.
That's why I think they're talking, they talk very seriously, I'm sure, in these think tank rooms about universal basic income,
Hmm.
because there are going to be some people that just
They can't keep up.
they can't keep up. They don't have the skills. They don't have the cognitive
Hmm.
thinking
Yeah,
together to really make this transition into this. And I don't know what that means or how it's going to work, but there's definitely, yeah, like you said, there's already a lot of layoffs that are happening, and it's happening very small, and it's been happening for the last 2, 3 years, where these big tech companies keep laying off these people and never replace them.
yeah. I have many people contact me over LinkedIn. Really good writers, graphic
Yeah,
designers, coders. They're
yeah,
all looking for work. And my recommendation is that no, try to figure out something to do on your own. If I do know, I will refer you. But it's unfortunate. And
it is. Here they got backsided because here's the thing. I think we all thought that those creatives, oh, I create art and I do design and I can paint and I can make music. We all thought that AI would not come for their jobs until it came for the lower level stuff. And
yeah,
it did the exact opposite.
opposite. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we were just, what do you say, maybe 3 years ago, we would tell our kids, you should learn to code. It was just, if you just learn to code, you'll always have a job. Guess what?
That's not the
Not
case
so much.
anymore. Not
Isn't that
anymore. Yeah,
crazy?
it
That's
is crazy.
so insane, man. And that's where, and that's why, that's one of the reasons why I'm doing some forward thinking and trying to do some future proofing in my own household with me, my businesses. But I think we have to be very open to what's going to come, because I don't think anybody actually knows. Nobody knows.
I think I tend to be a little too optimistic sometimes, but I think our economy is going to change to become more of a creator entrepreneur economy. The type of jobs where you will work for a company for 20, 30 years and
Oh,
retire with a gold watch is long gone. And we already knew that. But even working for someone for 3 years,
yeah, right.
forget 30, it's just 3 years. At my own agency, the amount of people coming and leaving or getting laid off, and I had to let a couple of people go, unfortunately, and it just keeps happening. And AI has a lot to do with it. The State of Union, politically and socially, has a lot to do with it. The economy, markets, obviously, but AI is a big elephant in the room here, and it's going to keep
Yeah.
taking jobs away. And I think Going back to universal income. I know we're trying to stay away from politics, but I think we're going the opposite direction right now because the government jobs were the good jobs, the stable jobs, and now they're getting rid of those in this current
Yeah.
administration. What do people do now? It's like private sector isn't hiring because of AI and a bunch of other reasons.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
just and I think you being a small business coach, I think what I really want to direct this conversation. Okay, let's say I've been an employee all my life, and now I want to. This is a good time for me to get into doing a business for myself. What are some of your recommendations? How should someone go about it getting into business now? Given
Okay.
everything we just talked about.
Okay. I still believe maybe I'm trying to think of how to put it, but I've always believed that you got to do what you love and what will make you money. So it's not enough anymore to just, oh, I love children, so I'm going to do something with kids. That's not enough.
Yeah,
If you've got a product, you should know your customer, you should find some value for the market, and then you start figuring out how to market to the people that will buy your product. That's going to be very important. Also, you got to love what you're doing because if you're going to turn this into a business, you don't want it to just be something that makes you money because that will become a pain point at some point.
Mhm.
So I think if you're currently employed and you feel like you're pretty safe right now, I think it's time to build your bridge and get your escape plan going. So if you what you're going to do is what I did, man. I figured out a side hustle that would pay me so that I could leave my job, right? So I literally created a side hustle just to replace my job so that I could work on my business. I think the biggest problem most people make is that they create a business and then they try to pay themselves.
yeah.
It's so hard to do that
Mhm.
because your baby business needs investment. And part of that investment comes from your time. So you give your free time to it and don't take a salary out. That helps your business grow way faster. So if you're already got a salary job, now is the time to start thinking about the side hustle that's going to allow you to eat on so that you can build an actual business that you're not taking all the money from.
Yeah,
And that's huge, man. Trying to replace your income and start a business at the same time can get you in a lot of trouble. It took me a whole year to leave my job once I created my side hustle because I was like, the numbers aren't right. And you got to know your numbers, man. And you got to be willing to make some sacrifices. You're not going to be able to drive the cute car and get your nails did every week
Mhm.
and have lunch every day out to eat. Those
Yeah.
things I gave up. I was like, how much do I need if I eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every day, if I don't have to do dry cleaning and I can wear a t-shirt every day to work?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Those kind of things. When you start putting the numbers together, it's a lot easier than you think to leave your job. We spend so much money on, is this a PG 13
Oh, say whatever you
podcast?
want to say.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
spend so much time on bullshit and money
Yeah.
on bullshit. It's ridiculous. And if you sit down for 30 days and start
Mhm.
logging where all your money's going and then how much of that money has to go out and doesn't have to go out and what you need to live on, a lot of us could already create our own businesses.
Everything you said, I 100% agree with. From experience, my first side hustle was a soccer shop called soccernation.com, and I was doing fine as a side hustle. I was working at Experian, making at a time back in early 2000s, good 80, 90K a year, which is good money at the time.
Yeah.
That was a great job. And working for a company like that, we had a lot of perks. I had an online shop. I could have just kept doing that on the side. And then all of a sudden, I decided that I want to quit my job that was paying me 85K a year. and go open a real soccer store with the real store because the online shop wasn't enough. And now I'm like, oh shoot, what did I do? Just because I like soccer, and that doesn't mean that I know what I'm doing. And I didn't know my numbers. I didn't even know my audience because it was different online than when you have a store. When you have a store, you're dealing with local teams and clubs and stuff like that. And now they wanted a complete different things. And we didn't really go out of business. I just closed the shop, went back online, but I was already like, I was at a point where I was burnt out. And
Yeah, right.
then I sold it to a local competitor. He liked our SEO for the website. He basically just bought the website because of SEO, not because of anything else. And then I went back to the world to work for a few years, and then I'm like, you know what? Next time I want to do my own business, I'm gonna know exactly what I'm doing, and that was a lesson I learned. And
There
everything
you
that I
go.
learned, you just said it, so that's really cool.
Yeah, I forgot that other point was you'll probably fail the first time.
Oh yeah,
I failed the first time.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was a huge failure, and it took me a few years to get over it, both emotionally and financially.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
another thing is not have attachment to this business.
No,
Like attachment is, I was very attached to the first business and it just took a toll on me. And now I'm like, in my agency, we lose clients. I'm okay. It's been a pleasure. Feel free to come back. Good luck and goodbye. That's it. We don't cry anymore. I don't cry anymore.
because
Yeah.
it's not personal.
It's not personal at all. Yeah.
It's not personal. And I used to say something all the time. I was like, and this is definitely, I used to say it to myself, your business is not your baby.
Yeah.
And if somebody comes and says your baby's ugly, okay, whatever. Because my
Hmm.
business is not my baby. You can say
Yeah.
the business is ugly. And I used to get that because I was in, like I said, the eBay, Amazon environment. People get really nasty in the comments sometimes. If they don't like something or something, the
Mhm.
postman didn't have on the right shirt that day, they can give you a negative feedback. And
Hmm.
I just realized I'm like, that had nothing to do with me. The way you feel is not personal to me. And I used to be this keyboard warrior. As soon as somebody gave us a negative feedback, I'd be like, yeah, yeah. And then I realized that feedback that they're doing, everybody's seeing. But my comment, all my possible customers are seeing. And I
Yeah.
realized I needed to give myself time to come back and answer, not for the person that gave me the bad feedback, but answer in a way that would make people reading it want to buy from me.
Yeah.
And it took me time to process. It's not personal, and I need to move away from the keyboard, give it some real thought, and then come back. Of course, if I had AI back then, it would have really been great because I let
Yeah.
AI write all the comments.
Yeah. 100%. Talking about customer relationship building, because I think this conversation relates to that. How do businesses build and improve their customer relationship and scale?
Absolutely. One thing I will say is that relationship is capital.
Hmm.
And the old saying of your network is your net worth is very relative to your customers and that network. And that authentic connection that we were talking about before, that will
Yeah.
beat out any of the algorithms.
Yeah.
So today, if I were doing things and building today, I really believe community and building community is probably the most important part. If you look at somebody like Mr. Beast, right?
Hmm.
Which
Yeah.
it's hard to compare anything to him, but you have to go all the way back and just realize how much of a community he had and still has. He constantly is building the community, and then he takes products and offers it to his community, and they buy it like crazy,
Hmm.
right? I think that's the new way of doing things. It's really about building out the community, and that community will beat out the competition. It's crazy.
It is crazy. And that's how I've grown my little agency. You and I, like I said earlier, met at Advanced Search. I go to these conferences. Some of them I talk. I think I talked at that one. Some of them I just go as an attendee. I just like to network with people, and they're the one that bring us business. I actually last year I went to Alfreda, really close to you, and in a B2B marketing conference, and because we work with a lot of B2B businesses, and I'm going to another one next week in Scottsdale. And my wife was asking me, "You go to all these conferences, do they even work?" And she's a nurse, so she has this very linear approach to think. And I'm like, "Yeah, it works, but not in the way you think." And then I had to show her a message I got from a CMO that I met at Alfreda when I was at the conference. She said that, "Hey, we're working on a project. We might need your team soon to help us with SEO, SEM, and social advertising. I'll keep you posted." And I told my wife, "See, I met this person last year at a conference, and obviously that conference didn't bring us any business immediately. I spent a few $1,000s to fly and get a hotel and for the conference itself, but I'm like, see the connection I made there. In other words, the community that I have created, the professional community, is bringing me business." And I think you're 100% correct. You got to build that community. Mr. Beast is a great example because his content is whatever. In my opinion,
Right.
when I watch it, I'm like, whatever. But he has his key success that I don't even think about until now, until he brought it up, is his community, so, which is great. So I'm going to double down on creating my community. And I think that's a really good advice for all business owners.
Yes, absolutely. So let me tell you how to bridge this gap, right?
Please.
Understand the business principle here. It's not just the tools we use to execute. The blueprint is very old school in its principle. It's customer service excellence, right? Quality products and services, that strong relationship, and a clear value proposition. If we have those four things, which are as old as, I don't know, business itself, that sets up a great base for you to use the tools to expand your business and expand that audience. There's so many today that I see what they're doing in building that community. And once you have that community, man, you can bring all kinds of products into the funnel. And even if it's not your product, it's great to build it around your product, right? But then also there's other inline kind of products that you can introduce your customers to, and you can also make referral money or things like that. And just like you said, man, we met in what? You said 2021?
Yeah, that's when it was. Yeah.
So here it is, 2025. It took 4 years for this to blossom into something that is beneficial for both our businesses. I'm helping your audience, and your audience might see me and say, "Hey, I need John's new book," which I didn't prompt yet. But you know what I'm saying? That's what it's all about, man. It's seeds. You got to plant the seeds, and then you go harvest. But you got to let them pop up and get a little bit of sunlight and a little bit of water, and then it becomes something that can turn into bearing fruit. It doesn't just happen overnight.
Yeah, you gotta have patience, and the key phrase here, like you say, your network is your net worth, and you gotta keep building that. Why don't you just? I know we're running out of time, but why don't you just talk about your book a little bit since you brought it up?
Let's talk about
and also mention about your Instagram handle, ColderIce. Maybe you can tell me a little bit about that as well.
Okay. All right. So let me do this first. I'll do this first, get this out of the way. So it's the Power Move Blueprint, the AI Power Move Blueprint. If you go to powermoveblueprint.com, you can get it. All right.
Can I get it on Amazon or not yet?
You can get it on Amazon, but don't do that. Buy it from me. Buy it from me.
Okay, buy it from me. Yeah.
Why give Amazon the money?
Okay. If you see my name,
will you can.
Okay. If you see my name, will you sign it for me too?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
For sure.
All right. If you forget, I'll see you in Alfredo.
You know what? Yeah. Done deal. So let's get that out of the way. All right. So what I say, Power Move book, I believe it is. Let me look it up. This is how new it is. That's the problem. Yeah. It's like I just bought. Yeah, it's powermovebook.com. Powermovebook.com.
Let me share. Let me share book.
Power Move Book.
Power Move Book. See?
Yeah.
Powermovebook.com.
That's cool.
All right. I wanted to share it very quickly. It already has a picture. Very quickly, I'm going to share this.
Oh, does it? Okay. Wow,
That's you.
that's me.
All right.
And I was shaving.
$6. That's a bargain.
$6, you get a copy.
Yeah. Yeah. Very
Go
cool.
grab it.
All
All
right.
right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem.
So, my name is John Lawson. Very common name,
Mhm.
right? So when I was getting started, like 24 years ago, this is crazy that I'm saying this. It's been that long. I tried to find my name, johnlawson.com, was not available. Somebody had it already, and it was such a common name. And so I wanted to stand out and I wanted to find a URL that was available.
Mhm.
And I remembered this old story, right? And the story is that back in segregation days in the United States, black people had their own, white people had their own, and black people couldn't visit the white people stuff, right? Y'all
Yeah.
know the story, right?
Yes.
So the deal was that when segregation was ended and we were able to go downtown to
Mhm.
shop, a lot of black store owners would look out their storefront window and all their customers were walking past their shop to go shop downtown. And they came up with the saying, I guess the white man's ice is colder. Same ice,
Yeah.
but you're going after it thinking that the other person's ice is colder. That's where I came up with ColderIce, because
Mhm.
at the time, I didn't feel that a lot of people would listen to me simply because the package that I came in. And I come
Mhm.
with a lot of baggage. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I come with a lot of baggage. I'm very outspoken. I'm very ethnic in terms of I am black and
Mhm.
I'm a gay man. So I had
Mhm.
all of these things in my head. Nobody will listen to you. Ain't nobody paying attention. And this was a different time. And 20 years ago, that's a whole different generation ago. And I just was like, ColderIce. I wonder if that's available. And I went and typed in colderice.com and it was open. And that's where I got it. And then, since it was open, I made all of my socials ColderIce. So when I first registered for Twitter, it was ColderIce. And all the other social platforms, I went and got ColderIce. And so that's been John Lawson for 24 years now. And then when I turned 50, my community they got together and they bought the johnlawson.com from the guy that was sitting on it
Oh
and
wow.
gave it to me for my birthday present. And that's
That's
how I ended up getting my URL back.
That's an
But
amazing backstory. It's very inspiring. Appreciate you sharing it. And as a minority myself, I can understand some of the pain
absolutely.
that we go through as business owners. I'm Persian, Middle Eastern. It's never a good time to be Middle Eastern in the US. And climbing the corporate world was very challenging. And I wasn't too passionate about it anyway. So that's why I took this route, the
Yeah,
entrepreneurship. And I'm
me
still
too,
learning.
man.
And I'm still learning. I'm still learning. And I don't, entrepreneur is a cool little word, but I like it because it means that you're always hustling, you're always learning, you're never comfortable. And that's why I like it because it keeps me on my toes.
Me too.
The fact that we're minorities sometimes it appears to be weakness, but if you can overcome it, it becomes a strength.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Absolutely. It is definitely one of my superpowers.
yeah. Oh, John, I want to talk to you forever, but I know we both have to go. So maybe we can have you on again in future. And I can't wait to meet you again in person, hopefully in Alfreda. But if you ever come to California sooner, please let me know. Southern
Me too,
California.
yes. Oh,
Yeah,
you're in Southern.
Southern California. Yeah, I'm in Irvine, but I can meet you in San Diego or LA. I'm always looking for excuse to eat.
Oh, cool.
Both cities are an hour away from me. I'm like in between LA and San Diego.
All right. When we get off the call, I'll tell you, I'll be in San Diego next month
Okay,
for a conference. So we'll have that
cool.
possible meetup.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'll
For
bring the
sure.
book.
Yeah, bring the book and I get you some tacos. And I don't know if you drink.
Oh,
Yeah, but San Diego
oh,
tacos are the best.
tacos.
Yeah,
Yes. I
yeah,
need
for
good
sure.
tacos.
San Diego. That's where you want to go.
All
Well,
right.
it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, and we'll be in touch again.
Yes,
care.
sir. Thanks, brother.
Bye-bye. Of course. Bye.
Peace.
Peace.